Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Best of the Rest. This is episode 3. After we took 1 week off for July 4th, we're back with a vengeance. It's Mondays, July 11th. A lot has been going on in the world of sports. Again, this show is going to highlight the sports that don't get that much love here in the United States. So I'm going to focus on Formula One, golf, tennis, soccer, UFC, sports like that. So first thing I want to talk about is Wimbledon. We saw the women's and the men's finals over the weekend. Elena Rybakina ended up winning the women's side. She beat Simona Halep in somewhat of a surprising fashion there. As an underdog, she beat her in straight sets. Pretty dominating win, to be honest. And then we saw Djokovic on the other side beating Nick Kyrgios in the finals in 4 sets. Djokovic has to be the leader in terms of winning after losing the first set. And people who follow me know that I love jumping on Djokovic live bets and positions when he loses that first set, because it just takes him a little while to get warmed up. But I do want to mention a couple things here from the tournament. It was a great tournament. There were some very interesting storylines. Nadal came in with 22 Grand Slam major victories. Djokovic came in with 20. But Novak was the overwhelming favorite. Pre-flop, before the tournament started, he was anywhere from plus 100 to win. So him versus the field, all the way up to minus 140. I was able to get him at minus 115. We gave that out at the very previous show here on episode 2. So I'm happy for you guys cashing that. I don't think it was ever in doubt. Djokovic had a few matches. Sinner, he went down in the first set. Obviously, Kyrgios, he went down in the first set. But he was just dominating. And there's no one in the world that can really match his ground strokes when it comes to being on the grass surface. So props to Djokovic. Now he's at 21 Grand Slams or major victories, one behind Rafa Nadal. The U.S. Open and the hard court season is coming up next. U.S. Open, I believe, starts end of August. So for the next 6 weeks or so, we're going to see a ton of hard court tune-up events and heading into the U.S. Open, most notably the tournament in Toronto. I think it's still called the Rogers Cup. Hopefully, I'm not getting that wrong. But another major storyline here on the men's side, Rafa Nadal, he made it to the semifinals. That's after a very grueling 5-set match against I believe against the American in the quarterfinals. Nadal actually came back and won in 5 sets, but unfortunately he was actually dealing with an abdominal injury and ended up coming out and reported that he had a tear in his abdominal muscle. So the day before his semifinal match against Nick Kyrgios, he actually had to withdraw. So Nick Kyrgios, great tournament, got to the quarters, won the corners, got into the semis, and won in a walkover just because Nadal couldn't go. And then in the finals, he had a pretty good run, right? He won that first set. We all know, people who follow this sport know that Nick Kyrgios definitely has the talent to do really well in Grand Slam major tournaments, from the U.S. Open, the Australian, the French, and Wimbledon. His game is tailored for Wimbledon as well as his U.S. Open, with the fast surfaces that just skids off the line when you have those serves. I think John McEnroe on one of the broadcasts mentioned that Nick Kyrgios has a top 5 serve of all time, which is unbelievable praise from one of the greats. But he just had never really put everything together until this tournament. So hopefully, as tennis fans, whether you like his on-court antics and actions or not, we do know he has the talent. For me personally, I hope he's able to continue to improve mentally as well as physically, stay in great shape and high fitness level. I think that's his issue, because he doesn't play enough throughout the year. And he's mentioned it on numerous occasions. He's just not one of those players that are going to play in every tournament. He's going to pick and choose. He's happy with his life, just like us, right? Work-life balance, and that's really big for him. But hopefully he has a good showing at the U.S. Open. I mentioned this on the very previous show. The Russians were not allowed to play Wimbledon, right? So there was no Medvedev, and even on the women's side as well. So we're going to see the return of these Russians back at the U.S. Open. Hopefully we see Medvedev defend his title, have a real shot at defending his title. And I'm looking forward to a U.S. Open with a ton of intrigue on the men's side. You have guys that are, awesome, right? Medvedev, Djokovic, and Nadal. But you have these up-and-comer guys from Sinner, Alcaraz, and Kyrgios, and a couple Americans that are actually doing really well now. Really add to the intrigue in Flushing Meadows, and I think it's going to be a great tournament. On the women's side, these are the U.S. Open is notorious for the bigger hitters, right? So look at Rybakina again. Look at Naomi Osaka. She's going to play. Players like that on the women's side is going to be really, really fun to watch. I don't have any bets yet for the U.S. Open. We're still about 6 to 7 weeks away. Some of those lines are not out yet, and they're super, super. Even if they are out, they're not very sharp. So I'm not going to play with them yet, but definitely look into, the upcoming episodes. I'm going to get more into the US Open and kind of preview that. We are 1-0, right? With tennis bets. We picked Djokovic to win Wimbledon. Let's see what we can do with the US Open. All right, moving forward here to Formula One, the Austrian Grand Prix, right there in Spielberg. The name of the track is called Red Bull Ring. It's super fast. I think this particular track has the least amount of turns in any track in the seasons. I think like 10 or 11 turns, which is insane, right? That's a lot of straightaways, a lot of hard braking, and a lot of top end, high end speed. And you would have expected Max and Red Bull and their cars to dominate, but surprisingly, we saw the return of Ferrari and a little bit of Mercedes, but we've kind of seen Mercedes improve now for the last couple Grand Prix. Leclerc ended up winning, which is great for his Ferrari team. Unfortunately, his teammate Sainz, who was looking to be finishing second, it looked like a Ferrari 1-2 because Sainz was about to pass Max Verstappen there towards the end of the race, but his engine kind of caught on fire and big failure there. That's a huge reliability issue with Ferrari. I mentioned this on my Twitter account, but Ferrari will always Ferrari. They could have the best car. They could have a year head start in developing the next car, but there's just an issue with them when it comes to reliability. And we saw that again on Sunday. So hopefully Sainz and his car is okay. They should have gotten the 1-2. But with that being said, Charles Leclerc winning is a great sign for him. Hopefully it builds his confidence. Max, who started the race in first place, he did win pole in qualifying as well as the sprint race, right? He won that as well. Everyone thought he was going to win. He ended up finishing second. Hamilton and Mercedes, this is his third podium in a row. They are slowly putting things together. Pace-wise, they're not up to Red Bull or Ferrari yet, but they've never had reliability issues. And props to the Mercedes team, their engineers and just people that rebuilt that car, because both Hamilton and George got into crashes on Saturday. So those guys worked overnight, extra hard, those guys and gals, apologize, to have both cars ready. And Hamilton finished third. George Russell, in my opinion, the drive of the day, he ended up finishing fourth. Not a big change because he started in fourth, but he had to endure a 5-second penalty. He had, I think he hit Gasly in that first turn. So he finished, he started, I think, lap 7 in 19th place, and he just moved his way up, worked his way up. So props to George Russell. Again, he's the only driver who finishes races in the top 5. Of course, he didn't finish last week in Silverstone, but when he does finish, he's always in the top 5. Mick Schumacher, let's give props to this guy and Team Haas. Both Schumacher and Magnussen finished in the top 10 points, so that's amazing for that team. And I think Haas is finally putting things together. They have 2 quality drivers, and now we are finally seeing Mick Schumacher and his confidence grow. He ended up his highest ever finish in Formula One in his career. That's P6. So props to Mick Schumacher. Another thing I wanted to point out was that Sainz engine failure for Ferrari, but Checo as well. Checo was not able to finish for Red Bull. So Red Bull and Ferrari only had 1 car finish. And it's been an issue with both of these teams. Super, super fast cars, amazing on the straights, amazing on the turns, but they just don't finish races. And I think that's opening the door just a little bit for Team Mercedes to get in there and just get into the mix. So the next race is going to be in France. We're taking a week off this week, so they're going to most likely add a lot of upgrades for that French race in 2 weeks. So looking forward to that. Again, no bets yet for the French Grand Prix, but I'm looking for Hamilton to continue his streak of podiums and for Mercedes to continue improving. All right, moving forward to the next topic here at hand is going to be UFC. So UFC, I had a guest on 2 weekends ago. We ended up going 1-1 between the two of us, but we also had leans that ended up going 2-0. So if you counted those leans, the accumulation of the both of us ended up going 3-1 on our bets. Again, I was not able to record last weekend because of the July 4th holiday, but just looking at some of the results here at UFC this past Saturday, I would say the biggest upset was Chase Sherman. He beat Jared Vendera as a plus 200 underdog. That's kind of insane. Looking at other upsets here, Zahabi beat Turkios at a plus 220 underdog. So props to Amin. I was on Nchekwu, who ended up winning. It was a dominating fight against Robertson. He opened it at a plus 110 underdog and closed at minus 160. When you see money line flips like that in UFC, it should really tip you off that there's a lot of confidence that the person that's going to be favored at the end is a big favorite. Gore versus Brundage. This is a money line flip that didn't work out. Gore was minus 150 by fight time, and he ended up losing in a knockout. And that's the great thing about this sport, right? Underdogs will always have a chance because of that one punch can just swing everything. A couple other upsets here. Let's see. Ronnie Lawrence, he fought Kakamarov. That was the first fight of the night, and Lawrence lost. He was minus 120 at fight time. He ended up losing. Let's see, anything else here. The main event, Fiziev, he dominated Dos Anjos. It was a pretty, I guess, good fight. It was a championship fight, so there were 5 rounds. But in the 5th round, Fiziev was able to catch Rafael, and Dos Anjos just fell. Like, I think he got hit on his right temple, right cheek area. His knees gave in. Fiziev gave one more power punch on the ground, and the fight was over. So nice little knockout win for Rafael Fiziev in towards the end of the 5th round. So props to him. UFC, we're going to have some more plays heading into this weekend. I'm going to pull up some of the odds here for UFC. All right, UFC odds. My favorite play heading into this Saturday is going to be Dustin Jacoby. It's the first fight of the night, so it is a little scary. But Dustin Jacoby is a minus 130 against Njung. Jacoby, we know, is the more experienced fighter at this stage. This type of an environment and all the big lights, Jacoby has done it before. And he's just, to me, he's just a better fighter. One guy I also want to back is going to be Shane Burgos. At this point, he's a minus 175 against Charles Jourdain. But I think Shane should be closer to a minus 200, minus 225. I think we might get to that by fight time. So if you want to jump on that now, I think it's great value at minus 175. And I think that's really it for now as a look ahead. I know the week after next is when Hermanson fights. So that's going to be a bigger card than this coming Saturday. One last topic I wanted to talk about is going to be golf. So this week is the British Open, and they changed it. They just call it the Open, but it's going to be set at St. Andrews. This is the 150th Open. St. Andrews is the birthplace of golf. The most exciting thing about this week is Tiger Woods will be in the field and playing. He's been over in Scotland or in the UK now practicing for several weeks. He's won at St. Andrews before. He skipped the US Open so he could do more rehab and be ready for this tournament. So there's a lot of excitement, a lot of intrigue, and a lot of hype around this Open 150th. Not only is Tiger there, but Jack Nicklaus is there. They've been doing a lot of PR leading to the event. But props to Xander Schauffele. He won the Genesis Scottish Open yesterday. That is, I believe, his third win in 2 months. And that Scottish Open, because it's a collaboration between the PGA Tour as well as the DP Tour, they had 14 of the top 15 golfers in the world in the field. So that's basically a major tournament field type competition there. And Xander was able to come out on top. Like I said, I think that's his third win now in the last 7 or 8 events. So he's by far the hottest golfer right now in the world. Just a couple other tidbits here. Xander, I believe that's number 7 in his career. So props to him. And along with Xander, it's only him, Scheffler, and Sam Burns who have more than 3 wins on tour this year. So props to those 3 guys. But Xander admitted after the Scottish Open that he's not very familiar with St. Andrews. So I know he is the best golfer going right now. He's the hottest golfer going right now, but one I'm going to be backing heading into this week. A couple guys that I think are worth a long shot. I'm going to start with Paul Casey. Not many people really have been following him, but at plus 18,000, so 180 to 1. I think he has amazing value for someone who plays in that weather and environment all the time. And major championship golf is not going to be too big. The moment's not going to be too big for him. So I think that's great value. A guy I wanted to mention, I'm not going to back him, but I think this is very interesting. Bryson DeChambeau is plus 13,000. When was the last time Bryson was plus 13,000 at an event? I think that goes to show you that he's not in form at all. He's not healthy at all. He hasn't been practicing at all. And it's, again, it's a major tournament, right? So it's another interesting dynamic between players on the PGA Tour and players on the Live Tour. So I'm not sure that's most likely going to dominate conversation again this week. But guys that I do want to back, and these two I'm very, very confident about, because no matter the playing conditions, no matter the type of course, St. Andrews is a links course, guys. But Scotty Scheffler at plus 1,400 is awesome value. I mentioned it earlier. He's one of 3 players to have more than 3 wins on tour. And then the defending champion at the Open is Colin Morikawa. He's plus 3,000. I think he should be closer to 2,000, maybe even sub 2,000. I think he's sleeping on people. We know Colin Morikawa shows up at every major event. And with links style golf where the ball just runs, these guys can really just take irons off the tee and have a middle to short iron into the green. I think the biggest thing here will be the second shot, because I think especially with St. Andrews this week, what I've heard with the weather forecast is it's not going to be too rainy, not going to be too wet. So you're going to see a lot of balls run. And most importantly, it's not going to be windy. I think the guys can play in the rain and very well. It's the wind that really bothers them. And according to reports, and again, we're 4 days away from first round, but it doesn't sound like there's going to be that much wind or that much weather. It's not going to be playing a big factor. So I like guys that can get birdies even in links style courses, and that's Scheffler and Morikawa. So give me those 2 guys. Another bet that I like is Tiger to make the cut. This is not the U.S. Open, so it's not crazy. It's not crazy roughs. It's not super long. This is a course that Tiger has played before and won on before. I think even in his, reduced stage or reduced health with his leg, his back. But I think him being able to practice now for the last 3 to 4 weeks in the UK, I think he's going to make the cut. Those bets are not out yet. I was checking FanDuel, DraftKings, all the big players there, but they don't have a Tiger to make the cut bet yet. But I do like that. So when you see that jump on your books, definitely bet that one. My favorite one is going to be top South Korean, Sungjae Im. I think he's so solid as a player. He's a good medium to good putter, but we know he can strike the ball really well. And on this course, without weather as a factor, I think Sungjae Im is not only going to be the top Korean, but I think he's going to contend top 10, top 15, top 5 type finish. So I like Sungjae Im to be top Korean, and I found that to be plus 200. So 2-1 odds for by far the superior Korean golfer when you compare him to the other South Koreans. So those are some golf bets that I want to get into. Again, guys, this is Best of the Rest. This is a show I do every single week where I just highlight sports that don't get enough press in the US. So we know about the Big Four, we know about the NFL, the NBA, baseball, and hockey. But I wanted to highlight some of the sports that just doesn't get enough love and attention. So we went through tennis, we went through Formula One, UFC, and golf. For the next episode, I'm going to be recapping, obviously, the Open, and it's going to be amazing storylines. Whether it's Morikawa defending and winning back to back, whether Rory gets one, like it's just going to be an awesome story. And the best thing about it, guys, it's going to be at night. It's going to be prime time here in the United States. So we're going to be watching golf at like 9 p.m. Instead of baseball, right? I mean, I love baseball, and it is July, so baseball kind of just dominates the airwaves. But it's nice to just have the British Open kind of break it up. So we're going to be able to watch 4 rounds of championship level golf during prime time this week. Super excited. Again, Formula One, there's going to be a week off. UFC, I kind of mentioned two fights that I'm going to be highlighting. And then tennis, we're going to get into the hard court season. So they're going to start coming over here in North America, start playing events in like Cincinnati, Toronto, places like that. So definitely look for those events. Guys, thank you so much. I am so grateful to be able to do this for you guys. We're going to have more soccer news next time as the transfer window continues and we get closer to the start of the season. I know my team, Chelsea, is in the US right now going through their American tour. And I know a bunch of major clubs around Europe is also traveling and getting through that international tour as well. So thank you again, guys. Hope you guys had fun. Please leave a comment. Leave a comment in the YouTube video. Let me know if any feedback, anything you want to change. We're going to have more guests coming up starting next week. Most likely a golf expert. So that's going to be super fun and exciting. Thank you guys and have a good one.